Have you ever set boundaries and then felt like, okay, something is off. Things are not what they were. Why has everything changed? My name is Coach Sheree. I'm a professional speaker and coach, and for over a decade, I've been helping women to think, speak, and act confidently in their relationships all the way to the stage so they can be paid and treated with their worth. Now, if you've had any relationships, you know that relationships change. My God, I hope they do. As you change, your relationships change. But at some point in time, you go, okay, wait a minute. I set a boundary. Something's not wrong. And something has got to change, but it's off and I don't know why. So there are 3 signs that you need to reset your boundary. Boundaries, I should say. So number 1 is you keep finding yourself angry. So there's this mindset that we have where it's like, okay, I already set the boundary. I should not have to revisit it. I already set it. Well, there's a few issues with that. Well, number 1, this is a leadership principle. Just because you said it doesn't mean they heard it. Like, how many times have you told your kids, how many times do I have to tell you? We have to say things more than one time. That's just the way it is. We learn by repetition. So here's the principle. As life changes, boundaries change. A lot of people think that boundaries are set it and forget it. Like, you do it one time and you never have to visit it again. Well, there was a point with one of my family members where I was frustrated. I thought, okay, now I set a boundary. Like, what's going on? Why am I so angry? Well, what had happened is their life had changed and my life had changed. And so what worked in one season, it wasn't working in another. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong. It simply means that the boundary just has to be revisited. The second reason, and let me just say this, your anger can be a sign that something needs to be addressed. There are a lot of women that are afraid to deal with anger, so they cover it up with saying things like, I'm fine, feelings inside not expressed when you're really not fine. You would be better to address it than to not address it. Because everybody knows that you are quietly pissed. So that's the first one, is you start getting angry and you're frustrated and not really sure why. The second reason you may need to readdress, reset, renegotiate some boundaries is you might find yourself losing yourself. Now, I know that that's funny, and you're like, well, where am I? Like, how could I lose myself? Well, when we're in relationships, we can lose ourselves inside the other person. It just happens because you love this person. This doesn't have to just be a partner. This can be a family member, and you can become so intertwined with their world that you start losing your own. And you make these small compromises. And this mindset creeps in that says, okay, if I do this, I might lose my relationship. We've all seen that with women who they tolerate behavior that is far beneath them. It's because they unconsciously have this thought, I might lose this relationship. Now, you gotta identify if you even have that thought. I love Carl Jung. Until the unconscious becomes conscious, it'll direct our life and we'll call it fate. So if you have this unconscious thought, oh my gosh, I might lose this relationship, you start making little compromises, such as little comments go unchecked, little habits go unchecked, snide remarks, sarcasm goes unchecked. And it's because you have this deeper thought, if I say something, I might lose a relationship. But the greater principle is, you're already losing. You're losing yourself. Yourself is important. Yeah, I was in a relationship where I was overgiving, overhelping. Okay, let me just say that it's not that I was in a relationship overgiving and overhelping. That's like my default. So all of you oldest children out there who did like oldest daughter syndrome, it's my default. I have to work to not overgive, overfunction, overhelp, get exhausted, and then get pissed. Just put that in the comments if you're like, Coach Cherie, overgiver, overhelper right here. And if that's you, I am your girl, because I have designed programs specifically to help women to think, speak, and act confidently. And one of the behaviors that we as high functioning, high capacity women get into is we start overgiving, overhelping, overfunctioning. We get angry, we get tired, we get pissed. But here's the truth. If you're consistently afraid of losing the relationship, you are already losing yourself. Your time, your energy, your standards, your sense of self. The best thing you can do is reevaluate the relationship and say, okay, if this is like with your mom, and maybe your mom's getting older and you find yourself, oh my goodness, you're just stressed because she needs so much, you've got to reevaluate that. There may be some boundaries that need to change. Now, am I saying that you need to neglect your mom? Absolutely not. But I am saying you cannot neglect yourself. I did this with my own kids. Overgiving, overhelping, instead of setting boundaries that both honored them and also honored me. So you don't have to just honor one person, but at the same time dishonor your own self. Two things can be true. They don't have to win and you don't have to lose. So that's the second aspect I really want you to understand, that you may need to say, hey, look, I need to reset some boundaries, or I need to renegotiate what's going on in my life. And if that's you, you need to make sure you reach out to me. Fill out my application to join one of my programs where I help women to think, speak, and act confidently. And part of acting confidently is having the capacity and ability to set very solid boundaries. So that's number 2. And then number 3, this is very important. You're going to love this one. You may need to reset boundaries if you begin to treat other people like they are your emotional assignment. Now, I see this a lot with spiritual women. They are very concerned that their family member, oh my gosh, my family member's not spiritual, or they are not saved. But here's the thing. Why would they want what you have when you are all stressed? How can God step in if you won't step out? That's really not spirituality. I call it spiritual codependence. This is because you feel like their life choices somehow dictate how you feel. Now, I used to do it. I get it. 100%. But when you do that, you're saying your decisions control me, your responses control me, your behaviors control me, your emotions control me. Have you ever heard this statement, this principle, where attention flows, energy flows? So when you are over-focused on others, by default, you're under-focused on yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with giving. Love your neighbor as yourself. But truly loving yourself is not neglecting yourself. And I see a lot of women who need to renegotiate boundaries because what they are calling a sacrifice is all it is burnout. I 100%, as a high-functioning, high-capacity woman, would 100% do this. I would allow my adult kids' choices, my husband's choices. I remember even at one point in time, the government's choices to now control my state of mind. So then we have to decide, who is CEO here? Their behavior or my thoughts? And so you might have this thought, well, Coach Cherie, what am I supposed to do? Well, what if they do this? What if they do this? Okay, let's go with that. Let me be your coach for a minute here on YouTube. What if? How about reshifting that thought from what if to even if? See, we cannot be controlled by somebody else's behavior. Even if they do this, I'm going to choose to respond like that. So this is why you have to set the boundary, because if not, you're going to be stressed and they're going to be fine. I remember I had a woman who came up to me who was so distressed over her family. There was a spiritual issue going on and she was so stressed. And I said, well, okay, you're stressed, but how is your stress helping the situation? You may just need to revisit and have some different boundaries. And remember, boundaries are not about keeping your family out. That's not what they are. They're about keeping your peace in. You can pray for peace, but it is your job and your responsibility to manage your peace. So let's just review. What are those elements that you need to make sure that you're integrating into your life to understand whether or not you need to reset or renegotiate your boundaries? Number one is you're angry. Emotions are a great diagnostic that something in your world is off. Number one. Number two, you're walking around and you're tolerating bad behavior. I see this with women in dating relationships, even in marriage relationships. So you begin to tolerate behavior that's beneath you. A little sarcasm, a little lying, a little of this and a little of that. Because you're so concerned you're going to lose a relationship, but the truth is you're already losing yourself. You're the only partner that you will have for the rest of your life. You're being negative, Coach Cherie. No, I'm not. You have been with you as long as you have been with you. So you might as well not allow you to lose you. So do not accept bad behavior and then say, well, I just don't want to lose, because you're already losing. And then number three, you start to treat other people like they're your emotional assignment. You are assigned to manage you. They are assigned to manage them. So if you feel like, okay, wait a minute, I'm starting to treat them like they're an emotional assignment, that may be a sign that you have some internal boundaries that you're violating. Internal versus external. I go deeper in this. In my coaching programs, you need to reach out to me at The Real Coach Cherie. You can fill out my application to work with me one-on-one or to join one of my cohorts, where I specifically help women to think, speak, and act confidently. And I always tell women, you have got to treat your confidence like it's a full-time job. And boundary setting is 100% directly correlated with your confidence. Because how much confidence can you have when you have poor boundaries all over your life? And the worst part is we don't even see it happening. Why? Because you're smart, you're capable, you're not lazy, you're just busy. So why not get some guidance, some structure to level up your life? So it's one less thing you have to do. So listen, ladies, lights off me, lights back on you. I love you. I believe in you. Continue to think, speak, and act confidently. And I will see you next time. Bye.